All right, boys and girls, I know decimals are tricky, especially since this is really the first time we've been going into detail about them. So I want to break it down into really small steps. Right now, during this lesson, this first lesson, we're going to focus on tenths. Now, last week I talked about the place value of numbers. Remember I said we start out with our ones, and then as we go higher, it goes tens, hundreds, thousands, 10,000s, 100,000s, millions, 10 millions, 100 millions, and so on. When we go this way, the numbers go higher. And when we go this way, the numbers go lower. And now I have an array here, and that will go on forever. The numbers keep going on, and they go smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller, right? And if we keep going higher, they continue on forever. Now, we are just focusing today on tenths, which when we look at our place value, we have our ones, right? But directly to the right of the ones, we have our decimal. So any number that is directly right of the decimal is going to be a tenth, okay? So any number directly right to the decimal is a tenth. Now let me show you some examples here. I have here this number. I have a 0 kind of representing the ones place. I have nothing in the ones. I have my decimal, and I have 4. That is the same thing as 4 tenths. This number right here, 0.4, is 4 tenths because it is in the tenths position. This number here is 6 tenths because it is just to the, it's in the place value, it's in the tenths spot to the right of the decimal here. You see that? So we could also write that as a fraction, 6 tenths. They're the same thing, 6 tenths. I should do a little equal sign because it's not 6 and 6 tenths, it's just 6 tenths. This one right here, okay, there's a 0 in the ones, a decimal, and a 1 in the tenths place, so it's a 1 tenths. Or 1/10, we would say, just because it's 1. So that right there equals 1/10. 0.1 is 1/10. We have a 0 in the ones place, a decimal, and we have a 3 in our tenths place. So this is 3 tenths. 3 tenths. This one would be 5 tenths. 5 tenths. Okay, so we have decimal form, 5 tenths. We also have fraction form. That's why I'm showing you both right here. But this, if you just want to say it, is 5 tenths. Okay. Now I wanted to show you these down here because you don't always have to write the 0 in the ones place. If you just write a decimal, you typically see this more often. If you just write the decimal, you know that, okay, there's a decimal, and then to the right of that is the tenths place, okay? So sometimes you'll see a decimal, sometimes you won't. Just so you know, it's the same thing, okay? So this one right here would be, it's in the tenths place, so it is 8 tenths, okay? It's as simple as that. It's 8 tenths. This one is in the tenths place, and it is 9, so 9 tenths. This one, there's there's the decimal. This is in the tenths place. So this is 2 tenths. Here is our decimal. Directly to the right of the decimal is the tenths place. We have 7 tenths. Okay? It's as simple as that. Not too bad. So just remember, 7 tenths or 2 tenths or 3 tenths, they can have a 0 in the ones place just to show the place value, or they don't have to. So if I were to write a 0 here, it doesn't change the value. If I took away the 0, it doesn't change the value, okay? Because we have the decimal showing us where the place value is. All right, now I want you to practice. So we just identified decimals here. What we're going to do next is we're going to look at a fraction, and we're going to make that fraction into a decimal, okay? So 2 tenths. Well, I have to put my decimal here, okay? And what's directly to the right of the decimal? My tenths. So how many tenths do I have? I have 2 tenths. So I'm just gonna write 0.2, okay? It's as simple as that. 1/10, I'm gonna do my decimal. How many tenths do I have? I have 1/10. So I'm gonna write 1 right there. All right, and that's it. 4/10, I'm gonna write my decimal, because my tenth is gonna be right here to the right of the decimal. How many tenths do I have? I have 4/10. I'm gonna write that down right there. Now I do wanna remind you, can you put a 0 in front of the decimal just to say, oh, we don't have any ones? Yeah, you can. You can either put a 0 or you can leave it. 0.2 or 0.2, 0.1, it all works, okay? So you can have the place value of 0 in the ones, or you don't have to. I'm just showing you both. All right, now let's get some more practice. Sometimes you'll see fractions. You'll have to convert a fraction into a decimal. Sometimes you'll just see words. So 6/10. Let's convert that to a decimal. How do we write that as a decimal? We're gonna put the decimal down. How many tenths do we have? Well, we have 6/10. And that's it, okay? Right here, we have 9/10. Let's write that as a decimal. I'm gonna write the decimal down. How many tenths do I have directly to the right of the decimal? I have 9/10. Okay. What about 5/10? I'm gonna write my decimal here. Decimal. How many tenths do I have? I have 5. Okay. I just want to remind you, I know I've said it, but repetition is always good. Anything directly to the right of the decimal is going to be a tenth. So if you see 0.6, that's 6/10. 0.9, that's 9/10. 0.5, that's 5/10. And it's really cool because you can also show any of these as a fraction. Okay. Any decimal that you write, you can also show as a fraction. It's pretty cool. All right, now we see these fraction representations, right? A fraction drawing. You'll also be asked to look at a drawing like this and write the decimal. In my opinion, it's easier to write the fraction and then write the decimal, okay? So I want you to do this with me. In here we have, let's see, how many total slots are in this box, or how many pieces are in this box? If I count, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So this is going to be a fraction with tenths in it, okay? Because there are 10 equal pieces. How many pieces are filled? 3/10. Now, how can I write 3/10 as a decimal? I'm going to do my decimal right here. And remember, my tenths is directly to the right of the decimal. So how many tenths do I have? I have 3/10. So I'm just going to write 3. Paper slipped. 3/10 right there. Now I could do a 0 in front if I want, or I can leave it just 0.3. All right, the next one. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So I'm also dealing with tenths here. Here's a hint. This whole paper is tenths. Okay. So how many spaces are filled with the red? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I have 7/10 here. Can I write that as a decimal? Absolutely. I'm going to write my decimal down, and then directly to the right of my decimal is my tenths. How many tenths do I have? 7/10. Okay, here's my last one, and then you're going to be able to practice this on your own too. I have 10 pieces total. I hope my paper doesn't slide here. 10 total pieces. How many are filled? 1, 2, 3, 4. 4/10 are filled. How do I write 4/10 as a decimal? I'm going to write my decimal, and directly to the right of the decimal are my tenths, is my tenths position, right? So I'm going to write 4/10. Now, again, I can do a 0 on the ones just to say I have no ones. I can do that, or I can leave it blank. It's fine, okay? So here's our practice. Now that we've done this, I would like you to practice 4 problems on your own on Mastery Connect. Good luck.